Thank you. At this time, I would like to invite to the stage Mike Schoenfeld and John Bauer.
You need to know something. It's not particularly glamorous or easy to be a Nordic combined skier, at least not in the United States in the 50s or 60s. A Nordic combined skier needs to have the endurance to race a 15-kilometer race and the guts to launch off a 70-meter ski jump and the dedication to commit to both of those training regimes. John Bauer developed his skills as a skier from an early age, experiencing ever-increasing levels of success at the high school, college, national, and international level, until he reached the pinnacle of his career at the King's Cup Nordic combined competition at the Holmenkollen ski jump in Oslo, Norway. The Holmenkollen, first used in 1892, is not just the best-known ski jump in Norway. It is also considered one of the top sports venues in the world. And in Norway, jumping at the Holmenkollen is as big as playing in the Super Bowl or the World Series in the United States. So John was on leave from his new coaching position at Middlebury, and fresh from the 1968 Olympics where he competed, before arriving in Oslo, Norway, with the best Nordic skiers in the world. After winning the cross-country race on day one, his best international race ever, John was one of the last to take his jumps on the final day of the competition. The top of the in-run on a major ski jump is a very lonely place to be as you prepare to launch your body down to fly almost the length of a football field. John's fourth place finish in the jump was good enough to win the combined event, making him the first non-European to win the King's Cup, a cup that was handed to him by the King Olaf himself. Later that spring, John and Bonnie were invited to a state dinner at the White House, hosted by Lyndon Baines Johnson, a state dinner for King Olaf. John was on the King's invitation list for that event, not LBJ's. This is the measure of respect that John's accomplishment earned in the skiing world. Middlebury is honored to have John on our invitation list for the Athletic Hall of Fame. Please welcome my coach, John Bauer.
Thank you. I knew there was going to be some good back in 1974 for making Mike Schoenfeld my player coach of the Alpine B team. And he has thrived ever since. So thank you, Mike. Appreciate your kind words. You heard Aaron remind you of where the emergency exits are in this building. You might want to look for the closest one now. Phyllis Trey edited my acceptance speech. So here we go. I'd like to thank my family for coming here tonight. Most of my real biological family don't live in this part of the world nowadays. And so I selected a family of mostly local people to support me here this evening. And I'd like you to welcome Gordy and Karen Eaton, both of whom are Olympians, alpine skiing Olympian. Also, David Lance and his wife, Luann. David was the finest Nordic skier I ever coached, and I coached him here at Middlebury. And he was also a national champion. And probably most important here is Howard and Linda Kelton. Howard was the longtime czar of the Middlebury Ski Bowl and the Middlebury Golf Course. And I owe a great deal to Howard for all his support during my days as coach. And my wonderful wife of 50 years, Bonnie, who was the first woman to coach the women's alpine ski team here back in the 1970s. Bonnie? I really am humbled to be here tonight. There are so many outstanding athletes that have made Middlebury their undergraduate experience. And I can't begin to even think about wanting to be on the committee that has to select the recipients of this honor. Middlebury has produced so many outstanding student athletes over the years. You have a long, long road of wonderful people to welcome at events like this, and I feel humbled to be among them. I came to Middlebury from Maine. In those days, there were only 2 schools in the East that you thought about when you were going to college as a skier. Middlebury, of course, and that school across the mountains in Hanover. And my mother at the time was infected with the ivy bug, and she wanted me desperately to go to that other school. Thanks to some very encouraging words from Bobo Sheehan and former Middlebury skiers, I decided Middlebury was going to be my choice. Well, my mom was still not convinced. She was afraid that when I went to college, I would be infected by the college bug, so to speak, and not become a serious training athlete once I got to college. I came from a very conservative Christian upbringing, teetotaling family, and but I tried to assure her that the members of the ski team were hard-training, serious athletes who didn't party. They were absolutely committed to their sport, and I would be in good hands. In my freshman year, when it came time to rush a fraternity, I discovered that most of the skiers were in a fraternity known as Sigma Phi Epsilon. Here we go. And so I pledged to be a Sigma Phi Epsilon, which the next year became Sigma Epsilon for reasons we won't talk about right now. But in any case, I was able to convince my mother that I would be in good hands with so many of the skiers in Sigma Phi Epsilon, and she was then a fan of Middlebury from there on. Now, I really probably pulled a little wool over her eyes at that point, but nevertheless, we survived just fine. I really owe some deep gratitude to Middlebury for 2 reasons: an outstanding education, a great campus community, some wonderful support from the faculty, which I needed because I was away skiing so often, and for the opportunity to take off my junior year and compete in the World Championships in Zakopane, Poland. In many schools, that would have been a very difficult experience, but the support I had from the Middlebury faculty was absolutely outstanding, and I was unable to make up that semester that I missed and move on and graduate with my class without skipping a beat. And I'm sure at many other schools that would not have been possible. But Middlebury, with its commitment to sports, and especially its commitment to skiing, really made a difference. The next thing that further underlines that fact is that I was hired to be the ski coach in 1967, but I was still actively competing as a member of the U.S. Nordic ski team and hoping to be in the Olympics in 1968. Middlebury sort of took a flyer and hired me to be the cross-country coach in the fall of 1967, and then gave me the whole winter off. Full salary, no questions asked, so that I could continue my career as an Olympian and then finish and come back and coach here. Those were in the days when skiers weren't making any money. My sponsors were my parents and my wife Bonnie, who were willing to work and allow me to compete. But Middlebury really went the extra step. They provided me with that opportunity, and I will forever be greatly indebted to the school for that fact. Finally, the thing that has always attracted me or impressed me about the Middlebury community is the quality of its people. Some of the most outstanding individuals that I've met in my professional life were here at Middlebury, and some still are. And I'm so grateful and blessed for the opportunity to have been a part of this community, to have been on the staff of this institution, and just to have called this my academic and ski home. Thank you all so very much for coming, and again, I'm so deeply grateful for this honor.
Thank you. So I'm going to put this down and we'll grab that and take a picture.